They're coming to get you. They're coming for you, Barbara.
They're coming to get you.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Welcome back to They're Coming to Get You. I'm one of your hosts, Brent Terhune, joined by
Gavin Eddings, podcast Beware, you're in for a scare.
Now, Gavin, you're wearing a mask and you've also got a clay bust of your own head on a stick. And I'm wearing a mask and I have a clay bust of your head on a stick. So
I gotta go scare these kids. I gotta go scare Chuck and Steve. Gotta give them a scare this Halloween.
So yeah, we are watching Goosebumps, The Haunted Mask, and this is a 2-part episode. So if you're watching along with us, it's about 44 minutes, real short.
Yeah, it's a real short, but what they pack a lot into this 2-parter. I forgot just how insane this actually is and how much it doesn't make sense. And just it's horror for kids. It's kind of like Twilight Zone for kids. And I grew up, I remember watching the premiere of this in 1995. It premiered on, I believe, on like a Friday night. Everybody got there, part of the Fox Kids block. It was viewed, I looked up on IMDb, the premiere was viewed by 14 million people on a Friday night.
Yep.
Just remember a simpler time. Everybody just living in the moment, nobody on their phones, just watching The Haunted Mask on Fox Kids.
On the phones that didn't exist. This was not on Fox Kids. It was on like Fox Prime Time.
It was like prime time on that Friday night, like going up against TGIF, going up against some real heavy hitters and doing 14.
Did I do that? Was that TGIF? I don't remember.
That I think Family Matters was at some point.
What's Family Matters? I only know Urkel.
See, my TGIF, and I don't want to get a hashtag going like not my TGIF.
Yeah.
But my TGIF was basically just remembering Boy Meets World, I think Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and Boy Meets World. Like Boy Meets World is the only tentpole real drilled into my memory show from TGIF because I love Boy Meets World.
And well, you love Topanga.
Yeah, Topanga.
That's about the only Topanga in history, right? There's probably never been another Topanga.
When you set the bar that high and you have such a goddess as Corey Matthews did with Topanga, I mean, you can't do anymore. This is now a Boy Meets World Topanga fan cast.
TGIF stands for The Coming to Get You. Don't think about that too much.
Nope, we're going on. But Fox Kids, Goosebumps, prime time. You turn on the TV on Friday and you get a little fun little horror movie in an hour. And were you a Goosebumps book reader before this?
I was a Goosebumps collector. I wouldn't say I read them, but I had boxes of Goosebumps, and I loved the covers.
Yes. So I was a Goosebumps boy. I believe I got into it in about probably the 4th or 5th grade. And I remember seeing just an article about like Night of the Living Dummy 3, and like kids started to read them at my school and things like that. My first one I ever got was for my birthday, and I got Night of the Living Dummy 2, not 3, but the second one. And immediately the covers were so cool.
Yep.
And I got to meet the artist at a Comic-Con a few years ago. His name's Tim Jacobus. Incredibly nice. Just got to talk to him about Goosebumps a little bit. And I kind of asked him, I go, well, how are you able to blend the elements of horror and make them scary, but still make them kid friendly? And he told me that you can make anything scary and kid friendly if you make the colors bright enough. So the Goosebumps books have very bright covers. There's still some scary stuff on there, but they're still more fun and whimsical. He actually signed a print for me of my favorite cover. I love the Monster Blood 2 cover that has like the overgrown hamster. But it's scary, but it's still kind of silly. And the colors were so bright and they were very, very eye-catching.
I actually have a thing here in the office / horror room, and it's their parodies of Goosebumps called Ghoul Books. And it's there I have like Scream, I have Annabelle, The Strangers. We got them all from Etsy. They're about like postcard size.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool. Like the house is October built, that
Mhm.
movie. So it's like very neat, kind of niche movies.
Yeah, I love the Goosebumps covers, and what you said is such a testament to how good that artwork is because it still holds up.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very fun, and it has that distinct look where you can parody it on something like an Etsy.
Well, yeah, you said the guy Tim Jacobus. Apparently, what I read, he spent 35 hours each on the covers. He'd sketch three 8x10 options for each cover before using acrylics and an airbrush on the final version. The work was so steady and so fast, he said, that there was no time for each creative back and forth, meaning that the publisher would generally just accept what he provided. He also received less and less information about the books as Stein cranked them out, sometimes working from just a short plot blurb. So it's
Yeah.
kind of guessing the story from a sentence or two.
Yeah, and that's what a true artist is, to make something out of nothing or very little information. And the covers never became, you can look at the covers and there's some dimension stuff and maybe some color palette sameness, but they're all so different because the Goosebumps books were often unrelated. I mean, you had certain series, like you had Monster Blood 1, 2, 3, and I believe 4, Night of Living Dummy 1, 2, and 3, but these were standalone short stories. Basically, they were like 120 pages. R.L. Stein would write them in like 6 days to send them off to press. They'd be like, "Give us some more money, children." But to be able to do something like Monster Blood and then go do something like One Day at Horrorland or the Terror at Camp Jelly Jam or whatever it was, these are all very different things, but still having a distinct art style while being different enough for each story and to capture that in a cover. And
then like that, there's the cliche, don't judge a book by a cover, but man, when you're a kid, you're like, that's all we do as adults anymore, is you gotta be captivated by the cover even to get into the book.
I went to a Barnes & Noble recently, and I just went to the kids section because I was looking for something for my niece and nephew. And also I wanted to check the children's section for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was like, I wonder if they still have Goosebumps. And they still do have Goosebumps on the shelf at Barnes & Noble. And they had this cool collector's tin that came with like 3 classic Goosebumps books. And it's still a cultural icon. It was definitely my gateway to horror, and I think it was a lot of kids' gateway into spooky things, because there's like the friendly scares that you could enjoy, that you're like, ooh, this is a little spooky without like shitting your pants.
Yeah.
But still getting a taste of what you would have eventually come to love later in life.
Well, and this is, I think, our first entry on the podcast of stuff you could watch with your kids, depending on how cool of a parent you are,
Yeah, listen, if you want to be a good parent, you can watch the Haunted Mask 1 and 2. It's like TV Y7. But if you want to be a real cool parent, give your kid a cigarette and watch The Exorcist.
Yeah. At 8 years old, that was what my mom showed him. My brother. Thanks for bringing him up. But
and she said, "Smoke up, Johnny. You're possessed. I don't want to be like you."
So let's talk about R.L. Stein. Robert Lawrence Stein, born October 8th, 1943 in Columbus, Ohio. Gavin, did you know this, that he on Nickelodeon was the co-creator and head writer of Eureka's Castle?
I have heard that, but it always surprises me. Like I've read that tidbit before, but I always forget it. I was a Eureka's Castle fan, I guess. Like it was kind of it was on its way out when I was coming of age, and like
I remember it. I remember seeing it, but it was never like a thing that I had, would sit down and watch.
Was that the Skiddy-Marinky Dinky Dink show with like Skiddy-Marinky Dinky Dink?
I don't remember. I know it was like a half puppets. There was like a bat puppet, I think.
It felt like knockoff Fraggle Rock a little bit, or
anything
like
with
Mr.
puppets
Rogers.
does, though.
Yeah, where's the Muppets? I don't see Gonzo nowhere.
Yeah, 7-year-old Rayleigh is like, but then they stole the Fraggle Rock, like
there's gotta be some sort of lawsuit pending for this.
Actually, yeah, Rayleigh does a 7-year-old say, actually.
Have you met any new 7-year-olds? Because they're like, actually, Roblox are better than Legos.
Oh God, get away from me, nerd. As we record a podcast about Goosebumps. R.L. Stein began writing the Fear Street series. That's different from Goosebumps, Gavin.
Yes, it is.
The series became the best-selling series for young adults in history with more than 100 books. 92, the Goosebumps series was launched. The series has been translated into at least 32 languages, became a kids show, rated #1 in the United States for 3 years.
Do you think Goosebumps books written in Spanish are a little sexier? Like just reading it, you're like, oh, what are they saying? This seems so exotic.
Monster blood. It's still English, but if you put a little, I don't know, spice on it, it still sounds sexy.
If you just roll your R's or something.
I can't. I never learned how to do that. So
you're like one day at Horrorland. Like, ooh, okay. Read it to me, Benicio.
Gomez Adams over here.
That's not my Gomez. I'm kidding. I love what they got.
R.L. Stein was listed as one of the top 40 entertainers of 96 and 97 by Forbes magazine, and he was estimated to have earned $41 million in that year.
That man made so much. Like, not every Goosebumps book was a home run either. He has had to make something, because some of them were like, this was, even as a kid, I was like, that wasn't that good. This guy just kind of, this premise got away from him a little bit.
Well, also when you're writing one a week, you gotta, by numbers, you're gonna have some duds.
I just imagine the Goosebumps writing process was probably like, I don't know, there's a kid and maybe, I don't know, do they see like a spooky snowman, like a snowman that's scary? All right, that's a book. All right.
Well, and I read that his process recently, when he writes newer ones, is he just starts with the title, because there's only so much you could do if you've written however many books.
Over 200 books, 300 books, somewhere around there.
It sold more than 400 million copies around the world. And also it's estimated that he has a net worth of 200 million, which seems odd. He made 441 in 96, 97, but you gotta pay people, you gotta pay your ghostwriters, because we all know he ain't writing all them books.
Listen, I'm a real Goosebumps truther. I know R.L. Stein ain't a real person, but there were a lot of accusations of ghostwriters coming in at some point, because it's like, how's this man? This man must be doing nothing but writing children's fiction.
But I mean, 120 pages. Yeah, you could. So and I don't care. I don't care.
I don't either. And each Goosebumps book there is a formula to a Goosebumps book.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually like a setup. Kids are going to be there. The characters are always kids. Nobody dies. So you don't have to worry about like killing any characters. You got to put them in some mild peril. Yeah. There's usually a twist at the end. And then there might be like some kind of moral of the story.
They're driving in the van. They take a shortcut. Shaggy gets high. And then they got to find out who's stealing or chasing everybody off to get the real estate cheaper or something.
And as always, as we've established on this podcast, it's always Bubblegum Jones from the Harlem Globetrotters.
Who's disguised as Don Knotts. The episode we're about to talk about, The Haunted Mask, is the 11th book in the original Goosebumps series, published by Scholastic. When Stein appeared at the top of the USA Today bestseller 94, Margaret Loesch, I think, the CEO, Fox Kids at the time, took notice. She bought her son a copy of Goosebumps book Say Cheese and Die. His positive response led it to being one of the top series. So you can thank her son.
And that kid is now a high-ranking executive at Comcast.
Hey, I hope.
But that's a real telling when you actually, if you want to make a show for kids that they'll like, give them what you're wanting to make and see if they like it. Because so many times you have these rooms full of adults that are like, oh, well, I bet kids will like this, and they hate it. You have to let things happen organically. So that's a really good measuring stick of if it was going to be a hit. And Say Cheese and Die is one of the most iconic covers of the entire series, with like the family as skeletons at a barbecue on a Polaroid. And then also Haunted Mask is the perfect first episode for this series, because it's one of the most, I think it's one of the most well-known stories, and definitely one of, if not the most famous Goosebumps cover. I
would say so. Besides Slappy, Slappy's kind of the other guy too.
Yeah, Slappy and the Haunted Mask are Slappy Monster. I think Slappy, Monster Blood, and the Haunted Mask are like the trinity of Goosebumps lore.
Stein wasn't always scary. Before hitting it big with horror, he dabbled in comedy writing for a humor magazine at the Ohio State University, published more than 100 joke books under the pen name Jovial Bob. But the first horror book he wrote, Blind Date, was a bestseller, which caused him to switch genres. He found inspiration for his scary stories in his own childhood. He said, I always was afraid of a lot of things, which later came in handy, of course, because I could remember the feeling of panic, the feeling of what it's like to be a frightened kid.
And Jovial Bob, by the way, incredible pen name. That is incredible. And I think from now on, when I do stand up, I want to be known as Jovial Bob. But that is, I think what's so cool about going from comedy writing to horror is that it seems like a lot more people are doing that nowadays, going from comedy to horror. You've got Jordan Peele.
Jovial Jordan Peele.
An incredible sketch comedian, incredibly funny, and really one of the freshest voices in horror with Us, Nope, Get Out. And then recently, Zach Kreger from The Whitest Kids You Know has stepped into horror with the surprisingly incredible Barbarian. So
I haven't seen that. I didn't know he was behind that.
Yeah, I didn't either, because I enjoy a lot of Whitest Kids You Know sketches. And I was like, Zach Kreger, okay, I look him up. And I like Barbarian so much. I sent him a direct message on Twitter. I was like, you're never going to see this. I really love Barbarian. You're very funny, and you have like a lot of great ideas. He's like, thanks, Gavin. I appreciate it. So he like responded to me on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
I know. Nice. Got that in. I'm going to be in a new movie. No,
I know you will. Also, Danny McBride.
Yeah.
Can't forget with the new Halloween trilogy, depending on, if you think they're dumb or not. But I think they're great.
And I think that I think the transition from comedy to horror, it seems, I don't know if it seems like an easy transition, because with comedy and horror, you're trying to elicit a response, a very specific response. With comedy, you're trying to get laughter. With horror, you're trying to get terror. You're trying to get scares. And if you're a good comedian and you're good at getting emotions of laughter, then I think that it translates into being able to get other emotions as well. Also, we're deeply depressed people.
Yeah.
So that
I also think with comedy and horror, you're both, a lot of times it's a commentary on society. So it's a reflection of what's already happening.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, like we talked on last week on Saw, I floated the premise that's not mine. I heard it somewhere else, but the torture porn, the Iraq war going on, is this a reflection of what's already going on? That type of thing.
And do you think Goosebumps is also a reflection of the Iraq war?
Yeah, I think so. Even before it happened, it was there. I'll just say this. You just look in the background, you can see them towers.
Which is so weird, because this show was filmed in Canada, so they must have been real close. Must have been in like Montreal, somewhere around there. If you just got to zoom in real close, but you can see the faint glimpse.
Sorry. One of your favorites, I think, Gavin, the inspiration for Slappy. One of the most famous Goosebump characters is an evil ventriloquist dummy that appears in a number of books. Stein says some of the inspiration for Slappy came from a bedtime story his mother used to read him, Pinocchio. There's a chapter, he said, which I've never forgotten, where Pinocchio falls asleep on his feet on the stove and burns his feet off.
Jesus.
I know, for a child. He also attributed the idea to the 1940s horror movie Dead of Night, and also the episode of The Twilight Zone, an episode of The Twilight Zone and the William Golden book Magic. I don't know Magic, but
I don't know Magic, but I think the Twilight Zone, did he say the Slappy was inspired by the Twilight Zone?
Yeah. And so I'm guessing it would be Talkie Tina.
Talkie Tina.
Well, there's also one where the ventriloquist dummy talks too, and I don't remember what that one's called.
Yeah. Also, it's Talking Tina. I said Talkie Tina, so I know we'll get like it's Talking Tina. How do you not know the most famous Twilight Zone? So I wanted to
say Talkie Tina.
Do you?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it so that people in the comments are like, well, you don't even know anything. So I beat you to it, angry commenters.
Actually,
the actually podcast got it right when they did their deep dive into Rod Serling.
Jovial Bob said his writing process. So that I create a cheat sheet on every character in the book. I write down the character name and a few characteristics that really helps me. People ask me all the time about writer's block, and I say, if you have an outline, you know everything that's going to happen in your book, how could you have writer's block? Now that's the fun part, is writing it. So I think that's not even out of place of writers to write about their characters, to know where they're going, and then just write it out. That's how I would do anything,
Yeah,
any
I like
writing.
that.
So
I like that he's like, listen, the real secret is to just have an outline to that you can follow. And it's like, oh, damn, okay. You just never have. I love that he's like, I never have writer's block, never do, because I know where they're going. It's like, okay, shut up. Okay, you're writing 100-page children's books. I get it. They're very good, and I love them. But you're not writing War and Peace every month. For
you're writing hamsters and lizard people.
Yes, exactly. Now the lizard people, he was onto something there. He was onto something.
Look at that cover. You can see them towers.
Do you want to talk about the Goosebump show a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so this premiered in October of 1995. I remember it was a big event. It was a big deal. Like, I had friends over to watch this, actually. It was like the big deal. Haunted Mask was an absolutely great first episode to do it. 2-parter, 44 minutes. And this is the absolute most 90s thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I love it. It has aged like milk, but in that absolutely fantastic way. And some episodes don't start with R.L. Stine talking to you.
Yeah, jovial Bob.
And I turned to Stephanie when we watched together, and I go, this is the most Jewish man I've ever seen in my entire life.
He's low energy Bob.
Yeah.
There.
Hello. Welcome. Hello. Would you like to hear a scary story? And what I loved about R.L. Stine welcoming you into like the mask shop and like, I'm going to talk about Goosebumps. I'm R.L. Stine, writer of the Goosebumps books. And he then tells you the whole goddamn plot and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's like, she's going to find herself and find out. And I'm like, well, why we got to watch Jovial Bob?
Yeah.
What's the next 44 minutes for?
I want to see him do a podcast about every one of the books or the TV episodes. Just give me the 2-minute R.L. Stine. Give me instead of the Cliff Notes, give me the Jovial Bob notes.
Just giving you a real quick summary.
Yes.
Well, this is called The Abominable Snowman in Pasadena. It's about a snowman who finds himself in Pasadena, California, and some characters will find him. And I'm sure it'll all be resolved very helpfully or very graciously. Like, okay, great. This is
thanks,
great...
Bob. I read all your books in one podcast.
But how do you feel about him welcoming you to the episode?
He's low energy, but I don't hate it. There's a charm to him. And I think before then you kind of didn't really know what the author looked like unless there was a picture on the back of the book, Was it 95?
Yeah, 95.
So
I don't think I know what he looked like, but before seeing that.
Yeah. I think I also, there's like a charm to like hosting something. I like that.
Do you think he was trying to be like a kid's version of like the Crypt Keeper, only with only with less jokes and less energy and charm and everything?
It's like if NPR hosted Goosebumps. I like it, and I don't know, but then I've kind of grown up knowing what he looks like from those shows,
Yeah. I do like R.L. Stine being described as NPR Crypt Keeper. That's the best thing. We did skip over though, and that was my fault. Before we're welcomed by Mr. Stine, hello. We got that opening. That song is so good. I love it. Just the man with a briefcase just spreading his papers everywhere to anywhere, and the letter G flies out and begins terrorizing the neighborhood. It changes a billboard it doesn't even change the billboard to something scary. It just makes them look like perturbed.
Out of the shower, like her hair goes flat or something.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's not, I guess that's, was she trying to straighten her hair? Does this straighten hair? Is that what it does? And then, of course, we have the dog from Poltergeist. of course, making its film reemergence. If you've listened to all the other episodes, you get this. But the dog from Poltergeist kills it as dog sitting on the porch with the most basic 1995 yellow eyes overlay on
the
that
blackest eyes, the devil's eyes,
the blackest eyes, the goodest boy.
that is I recently went on like a thing of watching Goosebumps, just random episodes, and that is from an episode. And I was like, oh, you know, when you like see a part from the credits of a show and you're like, oh, this is actually a whole show. I've been seeing this image forever. And it was like that. I was like, that's that dog from Poltergeist.
There's that doggy doing stuff. And the Goosebumps theme did not need to do a reprise of the theme with a dog barking, but it does. Ruff, 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 ruff. Viewer beware, you're in for a scare. It's such a good opening.
That used to scare me as a kid, that opening. And when we do recommendations, there's another show that would scare the shit out of me too.
I know exactly what you're trying. I almost brought it up. Thank you for putting. But this is very tame compared to that other children's horror show opening that we will get to. But this is such a fun opening. It's very catchy, and I truly do love it. Like it always puts me in a good mood, and it's great.
There's a thing that the producer wife and I like to do. We are watching, you know, just random episodes, and I started humming the song, but as Peter Griffin. Can you see, like, instead of them doing the regular Family Guy intro, they do a whole intro, and it's replacing the Family Guy characters with the characters from the Goosebumps opening. So of course Brian is the dog, Lois is the lady on the billboard, and it's like you get to have Peter being like so like I just will hum that occasionally around the house. Peter Griffin doing the Goosebumps song.
That's a very deep cut, and it requires people to know a lot of things. One, what Peter Griffin sounds like. Two, what the Goosebumps theme is. But when you find that overlap of a person like me, that's brilliant, and I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope they steal it for Family Guy one of these days.
I keep sending them this one specific joke, and they won't do it. They won't
hire me, God damn it. We meet Carly Beth here.
Carly Beth, who, like, she is bullied by everybody, and the school is doing nothing to stop any of it. She is just the most bullied. She talks about how scared she is of stuff. She's just out here trying to live her life and trying to have a good Halloween, and people torture her.
I think she's a scaredy cat.
I think she's
the kid is scared of everything, and I get being a little scared, but she's scared of everything.
Well, first off, I don't know why they're going pumpkin patch hunting in the middle of the night if you're scared of everything.
Yeah, with nobody around.
That's asking for trouble. Episode opens with her and her friend. I believe it's Allison.
Sabrina,
nailed it. Her friend Sabrina going pumpkin patch hunting, and they are just, you know, kind of looking through some pumpkins, and then one of the pumpkins comes alive, and they chase them. And I actually, for a second, thought it was a different episode. I thought I had put on the wrong episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's another episode called Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, it's great when people wear pumpkins on their heads. And I was like, did I put the wrong one in there? No, it just seems like R.L. Stine likes people putting pumpkins on their heads.
I thought we were watching an early Jackass episode. Remember when they put the jack-o'-lanterns on their head and they were in the grocery carts?
And then CKY is playing the whole time.
96 quite bitter beings.
Yeah,
we're talking about all the good songs.
I know. I'm glad we grew up around the same time, because like Jackass was our best. Jackass was our teen years. Goosebumps was our childhood.
Can you imagine if they put Carly Beth in a shopping cart with a pumpkin on her head and then ran her into a curb?
Guys, I'm really scared. Shut up,
scaredy cat. I feel like beating Carly Beth's ass all day today.
We're gonna. This episode's called Fat Fucks. Here we go. Just throwing her down like a ski hill in like a padded outfit.
Of course, the two people under the jack-o'-lanterns are Steve and Chuck, bullies, future pirates in the episode.
Biggest pieces of crap you could imagine. These guys exist only to torture Carly Beth, to the point where me and Stephanie were watching it like, she's gonna kill herself. Like, this is nonstop bullying of this girl who isn't bothering anybody. She's just a little timid. She's not doing anything, but there's this, so they scare and they're like, Chuck and Steve, you guys are real assholes. And well, they don't say that. This was a wife. Like, you guys are real pieces of shit.
You're being a beehole.
You're being a real beehole. And they're like, Carly Beth is a scaredy cat, and like they run off, and she starts plotting her revenge, which I can get behind. She's like, I'm gonna really scare him one of these days. Next day at school, they put a worm in her sandwich, and the whole school laughs at her. Like, not just one person. I'm pretty sure I saw the principal like laughing at her as well. Like, God, she's such a scaredy cat.
There's a couple things about that scene, because one, it's one of those schools you can tell when something's not filmed around where you grew up, because they were having outside lunch in October. That probably wouldn't happen in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And also, Carly Beth, the actor, she insisted on having a real worm and had to do that like 10 times, eat the real worm.
I understand being a method actor. I get that. I know that Daniel Day-Lewis, to get in the zone, has to live as Abraham Lincoln for 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think you got to go so method on Goosebumps. I don't think that is a requirement to find that inner, deeper character of Carly Beth, whose main motivation is I'm scared of things. Yeah, I don't think you need to go the extra mile, but I mean, it's impressive that she did.
Yeah, I admire her dedication.
And she had to do it like a bunch. I think she had to do it a bunch of times too, and they had to go through like 13 worms or something.
Do you think they started to just bully her? Now do it again. Again.
I don't know if you know this.
Worms.
I don't know if you know this, but Stanley Kubrick directed this episode.
Yeah. Again.
We've been here for 14 hours. I'm a minor. I don't care, Shelley. My name's not Shelley.
I'm just gonna use the first take anyway.
Man.
Where's Scatman Crothers?
She's eating the worm, and that's when and this is when she really wants revenge. She really wants. Her and Sabrina do walk by this mask store that is never open. It's Halloween season. You need to open your Spirit Halloween, pale man.
Yeah, dog. Like, and they're like, oh, this is a store that wasn't here before. Like, you just opened up like 2 days before Halloween, man. Like,
like it's a pop-up in Brooklyn. Like, oh, you've been to the creepy new mask shop that just popped up. It used to be like a coffee shop, but now I think they said like masks, but it's never open. Do you gotta get an invite? Is there a password?
It's super VIP, bruh.
Yeah. I think they sell vinyl too.
And it's gotta be craft beer.
Craft beer and mask. Whoa, what a good idea. Yeah, he pops up 2 days before Halloween. Like, you are not going to make your year. I don't know what you're waiting for, but they pass by the mask shop, and Carly Beth has like a weird relationship with her mom too, a little bit. Like, they're friends, and her brother kind of sucks, and her mom's an artist, I guess.
Yeah, she made the bust of her head in art class or something while her dad's away in business in Chicago.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, I can't remember. Dads seem to be missing a lot in Goosebumps books. It tends to just be like the mom. A lot of single moms, or a lot of like
something I could really relate to, Gavin.
Being a single mom.
Yeah.
You're like, well, listen, these single, if the dad's away, you know what? Maybe I slide in there and be like, I hear your daughter's having a real bad time with this haunted mask. Come here, baby.
Hey, baby girl.
What up? I'll have a razor.
So yeah, it's a bust of her face, which I get that you love your kid, but it's kind of creepy to just have like her whole face. It's a good bust, but it's like, it's creepy. Like, how much do you love it? But how's her brother supposed to feel when she's like, I made a thing for you, Carly Rae, and I didn't make nothing for you. Like, get back in your room.
Sorry, I guess I'll make you some kind of pottery bowl that kind of looks like your lumpy, stupid head at some point.
I was too busy making a bust of your sister's head and also her whole costume.
A 1-to-1 bust of a very accurate portrayal of her down to her hair and her facial expressions. So she's gonna be a duck. Her mom makes her a duck costume. Like, just go as a duck, because Sabrina's gonna be a cat.
Yeah, it's a
And
good
she's like,
costume.
it is a good costume. It's very good. But she's like, no, this won't scare Chuck and Steve. Again, this is her Joker moment. She's eaten worms. She's been scared in the pumpkin patch. The whole school hates this girl. So she's like, I gotta scare them, gotta get them back. So she goes to the mask shop, which is, again, not open, but the door's unlocked. She walks in. Shopkeeper says, we're not open. And she's like, oh, I just want to buy something. He's like, no. It's like, what is your game, man? What is your deal?
Having a heated conversation with somebody from Russia or something. I don't remember.
That was weird, right? Like, it seemed like he's like, I got to take a call. Just look around, whatever. Everything's on the wall. It's like, okay. And then I thought, like, listening as a daughter, like, well, maybe he's going to talk about like the haunted mask or like the origin of the mask. This may have been just a real phone call the actor took, and they're like, just keep rolling. We're burning daylight here. Whatever. He needs to yell back to Russia, I guess.
Also, the shopkeeper could be Dr. Loomis's brother. Like, no facial hair, little I don't know what's on his face, burn marks from that he had Halloween 4.
From blowing up Michael Myers in the hospital. Carly Beth, though, she doesn't like anything on the wall. Also, she has $30 whole. She has $30 to buy a mask.
That's a lot of bones back in the day when you're a kid.
I did the inflation for it. Okay, $30 back in 1995 is now worth $58. I was curious. So that's a lot, and that's Canadian money too. So it's only half. But this is an American show, so we're gonna go with the U.S. dollar, the greatest currency on this God's green earth.
Let me cover my heart with my hand.
I just said the Pledge of Allegiance in my mind, but she's not. Go ahead.
That's a big thing to have your own money as a kid, because like if your mom's gonna buy something and they refuse to buy, then you could be like, I got my own money.
Like, are you sure you want to use it from this? Yeah, I got my own money. And she didn't have to scrape it together. She has had $30 right there with a money clip, probably just ready to go out the door. Like, today's my $30 spending day.
Tipping door guys and stuff. Here you go, sweetheart.
She called a taxi to walk down the street. Follow that car. What?
So she doesn't like anything, but she finds her way into the back room.
Yeah, the back room of the mask shop, which he left that door just creaked enough, like just ajar enough for her to be like, oh, what's back here? That's where she found the pornography.
Chemistry set. It was set up.
I don't understand what is he a mad scientist? Are we supposed to believe that? Because
we can kind of cut to the end a little bit, because like he describes how the masks are the way they are and how they I still don't understand what the masks are. I don't need to.
I don't either. I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
the masks are alive, but they're not alive. And he said they started out beautiful, but then turned ugly. And I was like, what? And they can float on their own. They are sentient masks for some reason. Also, the bust also becomes sentient at some point.
Yeah.
For no reason. But we're getting a little ahead. She sees some of these masks that look like they could be actual masks for like a Hellraiser movie.
Pretty good masks.
Like some of those are like, that's a good mask. Like somebody did a really good job on these props.
What, and Tom Savini's back there cooking up stuff?
Is this Tommy Jarvis from Halloween from Friday 13th Part 4? Is he making these masks?
Are they silver shamrock masks?
That's why they're so haunted.
That's true.
But some of the masks are pretty good. They're all very scary. But then there's the haunted mask, which they did a really good job of translating the mask from the book cover to real life. It's sometimes it can go a little wonky. They did a really good job translating, and it is a very scary mask.
Yeah, it's a good mask, and like it's form fitting, and like The kind that like goes down under your shirt and over your shoulder type deal.
It should be way more than $30. That is $120 mask.
Go to trickortreatstudios.com and see what they're charging for masks.
It ain't 30 bones, even
No.
with your $58 in 1995 money. But this guy gets done with his Russian argument that the actor was having. And he's like, these are not for sale. These are you can't have these. And he's like, I got $30. And he's like, no, not for sale. And then he kind of lets her leave.
Like he lunges at her and she throws the money. Here you go, sweetheart.
He threatens this child. He's very aggressive the whole time. Like he touches her face and puts his hand on her shoulder. I'm like, what are we watching?
Well, you're not supposed to be back there, and then it breaks bad for her.
Yeah.
He's trying to stop her, but then at a certain point she runs out, he puts the close sign, and now it's on. Like,
but she did throw, because I don't know if they didn't want to encourage kids stealing. She does throw money at him like he's a stripper. She's like, here's your money.
Clean yourself up.
Money's on the dresser. I got a car waiting for you down there, but get out of here. I don't want to see you no more.
Your Uber's here. I got a gift basket. Because I'm like that one baseball player that has sex with a lot of people.
Derek Jeter.
Yeah, there you go.
That is actually, he's denied that being true. I don't care how much he denies it. In my heart, that will always be true, that Derek Jeter bangs women and then has a car with them in the morning filled with Derek Jeter memorabilia.
I have the basket right over here.
I got a rookie card and I got a bat. It was hard getting the bat home.
Yeah, that's some Tony Stark level bang and then hit the bricks.
Yes, I would. I would love though if just an Uber showed up for Carly Beth. He's like, that's what I was arguing with on the phone. I was trying to get you. Like, I don't want to
Uber. Yeah.
I don't want to do ride share. No. So he chases her until he doesn't. He just closes up shop again. Again, you need to be open to make money.
Yeah.
You can't have the best mask, even if they're haunted, back in the back room that you can't sell. He's like, all right, well, you're outside now, so I guess I just gotta close up shop for the day.
Yeah, I can't break this barrier of walking out the door.
That's just a man who like, you know what? I'm getting paid minimum wage at my own pop-up mask shop. I ain't got time for this. Let loss prevention deal with it.
Go ahead. Then Carly makes it back home. She goes to scare her brother, who she jumps out of Carly Beth's room wearing Carly Beth's clothes, but a mask. And he goes, who are you?
And he's like, huh? You don't recognize? He's like, it's just me, Carly Beth. And then she plays a trick on him, saying that she can't get the mask off, which is foreshadowing. And the foreshadowing will pay off in 12 minutes.
Yes.
It's not a very long, not a very slow burn. We got to burn quick and fast. This is children's television. Get in, get out. I do like that she puts the mask on. She scares people. And then she decides that she wants to take her bust that her mother worked very hard on.
Yeah. That's very fragile.
She says it's very fragile, but Carly Beth is throwing that thing all over the town. She's dropping it, she's tossing it, she's burying it. That's a very durable plaster mask or plaster bust that she's got there.
And she's out trick-or-treating, and like at points the mask takes over and she's like, like kids are shitting their britches.
It's a really good mask. And the way it kind of form fits to her. Did you notice when you were watching, did it look like the mask was sweating or that like sweat was coming through? It was a very wet looking mask.
That's what happens when I wear a Halloween mask. The mask itself sweats. I'm winded. Oh God.
So the end of this first parter, the way, because did you watch this on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, so it's split into two parts. She goes, picks up Sabrina, and they're going trick-or-treating, and she's like scaring kids, like, and she has one mission: makes Chuck and Steve shit their pants. Like, she has a one-track mind. Candy does not matter. She wants to terrify these two bullies who have been torturing her, and it starts to take over more and more. And the way the episode ends with a two-parter, it's such a weird, not natural to be continued part. at all. She just starts like freaking out. She's like, I'm a haunted mask now. It just says to be continued. Like, what was that transition?
Yeah. And with commercials, you had to wait 6 or 7 minutes before it started back up. On Netflix, it's just boom, on to the next episode. But you had to wait back in the day.
Yeah, back you got to get up, get some more beverage, perhaps.
Take a pee. And there's a moment where her and Sabrina go to a house to trick or treat, and Carly Beth is just talking shit to the mom the whole time, scaring the kids who, for some reason, aren't trick or treating. Like, it's bizarre.
They're
you know how pissed I would be if I was handing out candy as a kid and not going to get candy myself.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, I get that. There was. And Carly Beth was talking that mad shit.
Yeah. I'm going to call the police. Lady, it's a child in a mask. What do you like?
On Halloween, they couldn't find Michael Myers blood in it. They still killed Bid Tramer's ass and said by accident. You think we're going to hit the right kid who talked shit to you?
It is called trick or treat, lady. So
I did like when she's like, I don't like her. I was like, yeah, you better be careful if you know it's good for you. It's like, please stop. It's like, I'll get you dead. Like, oh God.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you turn up real loud, she actually goes, I'm gonna cut you.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, what?
that stick she's carrying around the head on is sharpened.
Just as a javelin.
Yeah.
When she just hurled that down the road and just speared 3 kids on it, I was like, I remember this a lot different.
I really wish, like, midway through this episode, she would have started to spin around and then spin so fast and then stop, and she's wearing a yellow suit. And then she says, smoke it.
Somebody stop me.
Like, just turns into The Mask, the movie with Jim Carrey.
When she was talking to the mom, she goes, PRTY? Because I gotta.
It's Stanley Ipkiss. Why do I know Jim Carrey's name from The Mask? I don't know. I didn't even look that up, just so you know.
Oh. At this point, though, the mask has fully taken over her, and she decides that somehow she needs to kill her own bust. She needs to destroy this bust for no reason other than she needs to dig in the cemetery.
Carly Beth is no more.
There is now only Mask.
She puts it in the cemetery, and then at that point, then does she run back to the no, she finds Chuck and Steve, right?
She finds Chuck and Steve dressed as very straight pirates.
Also counting their candy in the cemetery.
Yeah, like go home. You have a table.
It's cemetery, Halloween or not, is a little creepy.
Yeah.
Have you spent any time in a cemetery other than for a funeral or visiting somebody, loved one?
I did a 5K in a cemetery one time around Halloween. That was kind of cool.
Okay.
And then I made out in a cemetery one time.
Oh, nice.
On my 21st birthday.
Ooh.
Everybody else was going out drinking. I was like, me and my girlfriend at the time, let's go make out in the cemetery. Let's see if we can raise some bones.
Well, I had played hide and seek in a cemetery, and that was also the same cemetery that it had a great hill. So everybody around there would go sledding. You go sled, but it was like, is a hill, so one part had tombstones and the other part was all empty. So we would go there and sled, and people would make ramps at the bottom, and you get hurt real bad.
Yeah, you got to be careful ramping into solid concrete tombstone.
Yeah.
Be like, you got to be like, listen, I bet I could jump to grandma's mausoleum. I bet I could hit it. I bet I could hit it.
And then an interesting thing, the cemetery that my brother is buried in, thanks for bringing that up, Gavin, was the same cemetery that my grandpa taught him how to drive. He taught my brother how to drive in the cemetery because his reasoning was, who's he gonna hurt? I remember being in the back of that big ass Caprice just while my brother drove around the cemetery. So I think the cemetery is a pretty good place to teach somebody how to drive.
And the rumor is that some nights on a very full moon, you can still see him trying to parallel park.
Hey, don't talk about my brother like that. That's not cool, man.
I'm sorry. What? I said he was a good. Are you as mad I talk shit about his driving? You're like,
No,
he was a fucking good driver. He could parallel park like nobody.
Those are my jokes. Those aren't your jokes to tell.
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. That's very disrespectful. I'm sorry I brought him up.
But hanging out in the cemetery, that's like usually nobody's around. I don't go there at night, but I would imagine unless it's like a high end where they got a guard or something, you could probably do whatever in a cemetery. Nobody's messing with you.
A rifleman just posted at the gate like, nope, can't get in here.
No, sir.
No, sir.
But they're hanging out counting their candy in the cemetery.
Yeah, this is the most lax security because a lot of cemeteries like have gates that close at some point, but they're like, nah, let these pirates in. They're cool. They got to count their candy on somebody's
their booty.
On somebody's on somebody's grave. Carly Beth shows up though, and just I guess she scares him to death because she's basically wants to fight them. I think like she's very aggressive.
Ghost.
And she's like, you always torture Carly Beth. Carly Beth's not here anymore. I'm like, we just do it because we like her. We like you, Carly Beth. And it's like, well, you don't like her.
Apologize.
Yeah, she makes him apologize. It's very intense for a children's show.
Yeah. But that just goes to show you don't be putting worms in people's sandwiches.
Now get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
Now bite the curb. I thought I told you to bite the curb. Bite the headstone.
So mission accomplished though. She scares Chuck and Steve. They went home immediately and peed each other's pants. Just
you got pee on my pee.
We crossed the street. I couldn't stop. She was so scary. And then she just digs in loose soil into the graveyard, which means that's somebody's grave, freshly buried today. And she's like, I gotta bury my head bust. But then mask won't come off, Brent. Mask won't come off. She's like, I'm tired of being spooky, scary. And Sabrina's like, there's no line. It's just your skin.
She's gonna use a knife to get it off, and Sabrina's like, no, don't do that.
Which I think the knife probably would have worked if you think about it, but you can't have kids being shown stealing or using knives to cut off Halloween
themselves. Yeah.
Be like, just hold still. Welcome to Jackass. This is called the haunted mask. We're gonna cut off the mask now.
So she goes back to the Halloween store mask place. Dr. Loomis is hanging around.
Once again, like, closed, not open.
I knew you'd be back.
Well, maybe that's why he didn't chase her. He's like, return business. This is how you get him. I sell it to you for $30. To get it off, it costs $50.
Canadian.
And then like you said, he goes into like the weird explanation that I don't understand.
They're the unloved ones. He created the masks, but then they somehow turned ugly and evil. But it's not a mask, it's a real face. I don't understand. And I didn't watch it back because I figured you'd do your due diligence and learn what happened. But I think we're both in the same boat of I don't really know.
I don't think anybody knows what actually happened. I'm sure if I go into like some deep Goosebumps Tumblr or something, they'll be like, actually, the first unloved was an old military man or something like that.
Unrequited love.
No, that was the good one. And then it's also hinted at that the shopkeeper is wearing a mask that he couldn't get off or whatever.
It's like turning his face or something because he's got like a scar or something on his face and it's not really clear.
And he says you don't want to see what's underneath. So I guess that's not his real face. I just don't know why he made a mask of like an old Russian man. That just seems like a very specific...
Yeah, you're making a mask. Make it a little more handsome. Give me that tall, dark Dr. Loomis.
And then this is where it just loses any semblance of like, I get the tale of like, you put the mask on, you don't love yourself. I don't know where the floating giant heads that leave the premises of the shop and follow her to it. Like other people should be able to see this and make a bigger deal about it.
Put more masks on.
Carly Beth, we are in love, Carly Beth. And it's pretty creepy.
Oh, yeah.
it's super. Even as an adult, I was like, this is unsettling. I don't.
Yeah, to see Mask with the shoulder parts a little bit, and to be a kid and see that, I'm sure I was terrified.
And I guess the whole thing was that she needed was a symbol of love to fight them. So she goes and digs up her bus and like basically shows it to everybody. Like, look at this is who loves me. We did skip over something that caught me off guard when she's going into like full haunted mask mode. When she's talking to Chuck and Steve, her mask or her bust starts pleading for help.
Help me. Yeah, I forgot about that too.
And I was like, what the hell is this? What is this?
Carly Beth is not there anymore.
But I am your daughter.
Yeah, you could have not had that, and it still would have been a good story. You didn't need that, you know?
Yeah, because the bus also winked earlier. Or like was making faces. Like, is her mom a witch? What? Where did she make this? What Ivy Tech class did she take that makes haunted bus of your daughter?
It was the Wicca pottery class.
You only get one. You only get one credit for it, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
So she has the symbol of love, and she's able to take the mask off.
Yes.
And then what does she do after that, Gavin?
She just goes home.
I could have sworn I've seen this a couple of times that she drops the mask. Why wouldn't you bury it? Why would you bring that home?
Yeah, she brings it home with her so that her brother can put it on and be like, "Go, no, plot twist." But she hugs her mom and she's terrified and traumatized the whole town. So Monday at school is going to be super weird.
Carly Beth, you wanted revenge. Like,
you took a shit in my car. And I didn't do anything to you. I'm really upset because it's going to cost a lot of money. Probably $30. Do you have $30?
30.
Of course
not anymore. Do you think she got her money back for that?
I don't think so. I think that $30 is just gone. I think that's a lesson you learn from.
Yeah.
You can't just go around throwing $30 at suspicious mask people and hope to get it back.
What does that guy do after? Like, so there's a haunted mask part 2, which we didn't talk about. I think it's good too, but what's that guy do? Like the other, 11 months of the year.
Well, what does he do during the 12 months of the year? He's not doing shit. He's not doing shit during his busy season.
I don't know.
I really want him to just have. I really want him to have bad jobs year round for some reason.
Yeah.
Like he's just the worst Party City employee.
I DoorDash.
What I do is I put the food in the mask and I have the mask go out. I just drop it off.
It's very spooky.
Love us.
Yeah.
Also, we don't get paid for it unless you tip us.
Ooh. But her brother ends up putting the mask on, and that's the end of the episode.
And then we get R.L. Stine to send us home
with his parents.
Yeah. Was that pretty scary? I think they liked it. All right, bye.
Bye. Yeah.
All right, R.L. Stine. Thanks for hanging out with us.
I think it was a good special. I mean, we chose it for this episode. Something to show kids, and I don't need it to make a lot of sense. I just need the mask to not come off. That's how,
Yeah, just need the mask not come off. I think it's fun. It's showing it to somebody for the first time now would be pretty ridiculous, but I think because we have the nostalgia and the fondness for it, that we're like, even though it's silly, and as a mid-30s adults, we're still like, what the hell is the plot of this? Like they really mucked it up there towards the middle, but it's still a pretty good parable about like loving yourself and like accepting yourself and not being such a scared little bitch all the time.
Did you have any oh shit moments, Gavin?
I think really the oh shit moment is when the fucking masks fly out the store and you're like, oh, they coming for you, Carly Beth.
That was my oh shit moment. What was your favorite kill?
I think the mom, because she straight murdered her with her words.
Yeah. My favorite kill is when she ripped up that duck costume.
R.I.P. Duck.
That was a good duck costume.
Yeah, it was. It would have looked really fun, and she would have. It would have made much more sense than Cat that Sabrina was and Gremlin.
Yeah, then Pirate and if you like Goosebumps, what other stuff should people check out?
I think you and I both are gonna agree. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That was the intro that we're both talking about.
We can't. No, we. I as a 35-year-old man, I don't like watching that fucking boat.
Ooh, and the swings, the swings,
the match, the
attic.
boat, the weird puppet thing. Don't like any of it. And that was Goosebumps was more like friendly and like your kids can watch this. And Are You Afraid of the Dark was like you might have nightmares from this 10+ rated show.
Hope you get past the opening credits. That I would say definitely watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? I can't vouch for the new ones, but the old ones, fun. Go ahead.
Erie, Indiana is also.
I was going to say Erie, Indiana. And again, it's been a while since I've seen that, but it had similar vibes. Like it's like the Munsters is horror a little. It's got horror tropes to it, but it's funny, like. No, I don't think if you're looking for like spooky stuff for your kids, or just nostalgia purposes, nobody's getting scared of any of this stuff,
Yeah.
Did you have any other stuff that you'd recommend? I would say the 2 Goosebumps movies. I saw part of the second one with Jack Black, but I did see the first one. It's fun, and it's a they're throwing all the monsters at you.
Yeah, I like the first Goosebumps movie. I didn't see the second one, but I really did enjoy the first movie, and I liked all the callbacks. And it's just a very, I don't know that I love Jack Black playing R.L. Stein because we know what R.L. Stein looks like, and that's not him.
Well, that's fine.
No,
I thought he was good.
No, he's good, and I really did like it more than I should have, but I really did enjoy it. And then also, if you want to go a little bit edgier, you can't show this to your kids, but if you like R.L. Stein's work on Goosebumps, definitely check out the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix.
Yeah.
Those are really good. They are very adult, and
those are rated R. So
those are rated R, like the Pirates. But they are very good, and they really help bridge the gap and fill the void that left between Stranger Things seasons. I really liked that trilogy and having them release a new one each Friday. So definitely check that out as well.
Also, I would say the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Twilight Zone.
Your kid may not be into it if it's black and white, or there are adults that are like, oh, it's black and white. But yeah, they're standalone stories. They're fairly quick, so you can get through them.
Yeah, Twilight Zone. We actually, I meant to say this. After we watched The Haunted Mask, me and my girlfriend, we watched a Twilight Zone episode called The Masks. It's from season 5.
Smoking.
Yes, we was Stanley Ipkiss. We actually watched Son of Mask with Jamie Kennedy.
Oh no,
because we hate ourselves.
Yeah.
No, but there's an episode of Twilight Zone in season 5 called The Masks, and it's a very similar concept of putting masks on and then not being able to take them off with a twist.
Ooh.
So it's very good.
The rest of the Goosebumps series, if you like that, they're fun, and watch the Haunted Mask Part 2.
Hard pass.
Okay. No, thank you.
No, the entire Goosebumps series as a whole is pretty fun. And I'm really excited because my niece is getting to be like 4. She'll be 5. Well, she just turned 4, so she'll be 5 next year. But I'm really excited to like introduce her to like this child-friendly horror stuff, like Goosebumps and things like that. So I'm excited to share that with her, and he'll be like, Uncle Gavin, this looks like shit.
Yeah, it's standard definition. What's that? It means it looks like shit.
Everything can't be 4K, Ivy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what a contrast. Last week we went from Saw to Goosebumps.
We just gave our audience a lot of whiplash.
Yeah.
And then let me check the schedule here. Let's see. Do you have it pulled up? What we're going to do next?
I don't remember what we're talking about next week.
Okay, let me go ahead. I'll get it pulled up here. We're very professional talking about Terrifier.
And that's a more Saw level. But the clown movie Terrifier, is that still on Netflix?
It isn't. I don't know where it went.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Making me buy something.
I think
Gavin.
it's on this. I think it's on Screenbox, maybe.
Okay.
But at the time of this recording, I do have my tickets for Terrifier 2.
Well, look
So
at
I'm very
you.
excited. I'm very excited about that. And to revisit what I think is one of the most vicious, just gross, brutal horror movies of the past 10 years.
And we just covered Saw. So
So yeah, I like the way we have like the palette like Saw, Goosebumps,
Yeah.
Terrifier.
yeah, and we have another one upcoming later this season that is not scary at all. So
Yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. But I think that wraps that up.
yeah, let's take our masks off. Let's put our busts on somehow.
My mask won't come off.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Well,
Oh, no.
check out Gavin's YouTube channel, Gavin Loves Horror,
Yes, and check out Brent everywhere.
everywhere. On the field trip where Gavin has been many times, the field trip
Yeah.
podcast. So thanks for listening. And just a quick reminder, they're coming to get you.
Barbara.
They're coming to get you. They're coming for you, Barbara.
They're coming to get you.